But speaking of the electric story and the EV story in India, world over, we're sort of seeing a pullback as far as electric mobility is concerned. In India, it's a different story because we're still at a fairly nascent stage. What's the outlook on growth in an era where we're likely to see less and less subsidies being put on the table by the government?
Well, I think the motion is start there. I think we can all take our view. Our view is that over the 5-10 year period, can we be reaching 30-40 odd % penetration in EV? I think we should be. It is a large two-wheeler market. It is more economical in the long run for a consumer to have EV. We're making it at affordable prices. The government is kind of is behind the mission because it's obviously very good for the environment. And so if you take that, now the question comes: who is going to be the leader? And I think for Bhavesh, like you said, there might be some up and down in the stock, but what he has created is just absolutely unbelievable, right? To come out of nowhere and say, look, I'm going to start the first EV revolution in India, take on the incumbents, build a bike which is reliable. And I think that's fantastic. So now the bet is what kind of market share Ola Electric will have, and we are, very confident that, he'll do a great job.
And you're committed to the investment in Ola?
Yes. So Ola Electric.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, obviously we are locked in for 6 months. We did very little OFS in Ola Electric. We did hardly in Swiggy. In First Cry we came down because we were a very large shareholder. All three companies we think have a long-term, a view and a long-term growth story, but we have to make money as well, right? we have LPs, we have Softbank Group, who have invested in the Softbank Vision Fund. So at the right time, we will pare down our positions. We can't hold them all forever.
So once the lock-in is over, you're looking at a partial exit, or?
Depends on the market, depends on the performance of the company, but it's definitely going to be a very thoughtful, gradual exit.
Okay.
We are in no hurry to exit.
Okay, that's as far as Ola Electric is concerned, and those are the few portfolio companies that have already listed. Let's talk about the IPO pipeline. And given the turn in the markets, do you believe that we're likely to see a bit of a pause there, or do you believe that the momentum continues?
I think it depends on the quality of the company and how much you want to raise. I think if you have a path to profitability, if you are profitable, if you're a market leader, very high unit economics, I think you can list. Like I said, you leave more on the table, the market will accept you. Is there enough liquidity in the market today? Yes. Is there enough depth in the market? Yes. You know all the SIP numbers, you know how much money is flowing into the Indian markets. I think the question arises, if you are a company on the fringes and you need the investors to believe a DCF 15 years out, then I think it starts becoming tricky. But if you're a Swiggy, if you're a Ola Electric, if you're a First Cry, if you're a high quality company, sure, it might go at a lower price, but you'll go out.
Has the engagement and the perception of dealing with public market investors changed? Especially, you had that first cohort of Zomato, Paytm, etc. Now you've got the Ola Electrics and Swiggies of the world. And as you build out this IPO pipeline, has the engagement and the perception of dealing with public markets changed with these new age companies?
100%. So I think there are 4 or 5 very big learnings. One, we have to start engaging with investors a lot earlier than just waking up 6 months before the IPO and saying, look, this is what my company does. And that just makes the rapport, they see our story, they understand us better, so they're not starting from scratch. Because to go on a roadshow for 1 hour and make a decision is not going to happen. Second, as you know, the domestic investors are becoming more important. They are long-term, they are India, they're more sticky, so we've got to convince them. Convincing them are not easy. They ask good questions, they ask tough questions, and that's why we need to kind of engage with them a lot. On the positive side, they have now made money in tech in India. So if you look at all the tech IPOs, whether it be Zomato, Nykaa, First Cry, etc., people have made a decent return. Policy Bazaar, another one of our companies. And so there is this positive inclination that yes, tech in India is going to be a large part of the market cap.
Let's talk about overall what the view is on India. Is Masayoshi Son in defense mode still, or are you willing to now start writing big checks?
We are willing. Look, I think Masa's been talking about AI way before anyone else. Yeah. You've seen the SoftBank results. You've seen the success we've had in India. You've seen the success of the Vision Fund in the results recently. And so I think as a firm, we definitely want to take more AI and more tech bets. Right now, AI is a broad term. It can be an AI infrastructure. It can be in AI-first companies. It can be how companies are using AI to either reduce costs or increase the quality of their product. But if you take that umbrella, tech-first, AI-first company, I think that we are super excited to do.
And what does that picture look like in India specifically? I mean, large bets, OpenAI, Perplexity, those are some of the large Softbank bets being made in the AI space globally. But what about India?
So India, if you look at, is there going to be a language model coming out of here? Maybe. We haven't seen that yet. But they are.
So take on Krutrim.
No, it's a good company. I think it's early days, but it's a high quality company, and we'll see how it evolves. Too early for us right now, but we'll see how it evolves. But there are going to be a lot of AI first companies, whether it be video editing, video creation. We're seeing a lot of that today, and that we're looking at quite seriously. And then you fast forward to say, okay, how does Swiggy reduce its costs? It reduces call center costs by using AI, right? How does Lenskart manage to deliver prescription glasses the next day? Because the factory is fully automated, robotic, which is machine learning and AI. So we look for spheres like that, and how do we, through robotics or AI, those companies definitely exist in India. I don't think you can deliver the volume Meesho delivers or the volume delivery delivers or what Swiggy delivers without automation and AI. I don't think the humans be able to do.
So what is going to be the check size that you're willing to write at this point in time?
Our sweet spot has always been, at least a $50 million check size. If you see, and it's not only Softbank, if you see our peers as well, growth tech investing in India has been slow. We came off the 22 cycle. I think these exits are helping. So we are back in the business. We are looking at deals. We might have to reduce our check size a little bit because we've seen companies earlier. Also, now, after the 22 cycle, companies have suddenly become super capital conscious. So they might not want to raise 100 million. Because they're like, now we know how to build a more capital efficient business, so we can do the same with 50. And we don't want to be out of the game. So I'm not going to have just a number for the sake of it. If the company wants to raise 30 and we like it and they're more capital efficient, we'll do it.
But let's talk about some of your other legacy investments, Oyo in particular. Turning a corner or starting to turn a corner, but IPO plans on hold twice over, an attempt to go to the markets and then pull back. Also the level of debt, does that worry you, and the international expansion plans?
No, so I think, the IPO, we withdrew the DRHP, that was just once. They've done a phenomenal job in turning the business. It's highly profitable at the moment. The business is pan-India, it's all over the world. There's India, there's Europe, and there's the US. I think they've got the unit economics right now. And I think they've seen success in different markets. The US will be a focus for them. Europe is there, and India. So if you put those three markets together in their niches, could Oyo build a pretty healthy EBITDA positive business, which they are on track for? I think so.
And global expansion driving EBITDA?
Global expansion driving EBITDA as well as India driving EBITDA. So I think the mix will kind of depend on obviously how the three geographies do, but I think it'll be a good combination of playing a global, in that segment of the hotel and tourism sector.
But on board with the international expansion plans, do you?
I think what they've done in Europe was very impressive. They did an acquisition. They took the synergies out, which has become very profitable. And so I think, as SoftBank and as a board, we think that if they find the right opportunity elsewhere, at the right price, obviously, they should be able to do it.
So what's the next cohort that you're hoping to harvest from?
Yeah, we're waiting. So look, I think we come in, say Series D, Series E. For us, that was the 2021 seed Series A, Series B cohort. Just like 21 was expensive for growth, it's probably expensive for seed Series A. So maybe that cohort was not as high quality as the cohort 5 years ago. But there are companies coming out. And I think what's heartening now is the companies coming out with more experience and more capital efficiency. And so that's why maybe it's harder to do deals because they don't want to raise as much capital. But I think Zepto is a prime example, right? We are in Swiggy, but if you were not there, it's
you would have bet on Zepto?
I have my views, okay, but I think that's a company which is.
Is that a yes or a no?
Let me enjoy my Swiggy moment. No. So I think, look, I have my views. I do think if you specifically on Zepto and if you bet on it, I do think it works well when you're part of one platform. And I think the synergy between Instamart and food delivery is very, very strong. So if you just do it independently, I think there's a lot more work, and you have to believe a lot more for the unit economics to work. But the next cohort there are some AI-first companies coming. There are a lot of omni-channel companies coming where we've been very successful, like FirstCry and Lenskart. And there are new age e-commerce-ish companies coming, which seem exciting, because I think the demand from the consumer one day is becoming too late.
One day is becoming too late.
So now let's see what the models evolve to make the consumer, the same day delivery model.
So, if you were to look at what's happening in the Indian startup ecosystem at this point, and I forget how many unicorns we've minted and so on and so forth, but just the depth and breadth of the kind of opportunities that people are looking at, as well as the robustness of the business models themselves. How different is the story today versus, say, maybe even 5 years ago?
Oh, no, tremendously different. I think 4 or 5 big things. Number one, India will never have tech IPOs. 5 years ago, in 2018, India will never have tech IPOs. India, negative net income companies or PAT companies can never go public. That's out of the window. Yeah. They've gone, we've done well, and we've had ups and downs, but the big exits to happen. India will never have a $10 billion plus tech company in India. Now you've got many who have gone. We've gone through, and us investors as well, it's a young ecosystem. We've seen cycles. When you burn $50-60 million a month, it doesn't go anywhere. So you've become more disciplined. The founders have become more disciplined. The founders want to own 15, 20, 30% of the companies. They don't want to own 4 or 5% and dilute themselves all the way. So it's becoming more capital efficient. If they're more capital efficient, founders will make more money, investors will make more money, and the business model will be a lot better.
Those are some of the big changes and the big shifts that we've seen specifically as far as India is concerned. But let's end by talking about what's happening globally. I mean, we've got this big Trump trade playing out just about from Bitcoin to the equity markets, everything rallying at this point in time. And tech specifically, Elon Musk, a large role that he's likely to play in the scheme of things. I mean, how are you looking at all of this?
I think whether it's a Trump trade, I think markets need an excuse to ride up or ride down, right? So I think this is temporary, but I think fundamentally the capex on AI by the large players, the companies like we invested in OpenAI, Perplexity, Poolside, I mean, that notion has been now going on for the last 2 years or so. Now, it's always like you over-exaggerate the short term, but you
underestimate the long term.
Underestimate the long term. So the valuation will keep moving around, but is this massive wave where fundamentally it's going to be the way you change the way you work, the way your efficiency works, the way products work. And so that wave is definitely coming very, very strong. So I am, and maybe I'm Softbank and biased, my boss is very AI focused, but I think we are very, very excited in what lies in the future.
Well, speaking of the future, the immediate future, 2025, Indian IPOs, the pipeline, on the back of whatever visibility you currently have, and of course markets will do what they do, but what bigger than 24? What's the outlook?
I don't look. You say that. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said bigger than 2024. It's suddenly changed in 3 weeks. But I think there is a time which has now come when there is a cohort of and in the tech space, a cohort of very mature, well-built tech companies which will go public in 25. So I would say it'll probably match 24 because there are 6 to 7 very high-quality names which I can think of, which will definitely go public in 25.
Well, and of course, a lot will depend on the markets and how they play out, and of course, the price that you are willing to put on the table. But Sumaira, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Young Turks, and we look forward to seeing you back again in India.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Young Turks. From all of us here on the team, for now, goodbye. Many thanks for watching. More news coming up right after this.